We have breaking news coming in. Multiple fatalities have been reported in a shooting at a high school in Texas in the U.S. We've learned that at least 8 to 10 people may have been killed. This comes as the latest instance of gun violence in the U.S. It's a country that is still shaken by the massacre at a Florida high school in February this year. The school district says the situation has been contained. Local media reports say that a suspect is now in custody. 2 people believed to be students have been detained. And US President Donald Trump has reacted on this incident, saying that the White House is closely monitoring the situation. He says that his prayers are with the victims and their families. Donald Trump has given a statement. Let's listen into what he just said.
We grieve for the terrible loss of life and send our support and love to everyone affected by this absolutely horrific attack. To the students, families, teachers, and personnel at Santa Fe High, we're with you in this tragic hour, and we will be with you forever. My administration is determined to do everything in our power to protect our students, secure our schools, and to keep weapons out of the hands of those who pose a threat to themselves and to others. Everyone must work together at every level of government to keep our children safe. May God heal the injured, and may God comfort the wounded, and may God be with the victims and with the victims' families. Very sad day.
And this is what a student at the place of the incident, an eyewitness, saw. We'll try and play out that reaction for you in just a bit. Joining me from Washington is WION's correspondent Nina Maria Potts. Nina, what is the latest that we have? 8 to 10 casualties being reported by the local media there.
Well, the situation is obviously still very fluid. We're trying to get to the bottom of exactly how many fatalities there have been. We've heard reports that 8 people have been confirmed dead. That number is expected to rise. We heard from Galveston, the county sheriff earlier, who tweeted that 2 people had been detained, that one is a suspected shooter. I think they're still trying to get to the bottom of what role perhaps the other one had. They're both said to be students. You heard there President Trump making a statement. He tweeted right off the back of this shooting. He was very carefully briefed, I think, by his national security advisors on the shooting itself, and I expect him to weigh in because obviously this throws more light and puts under the microscope the national debate over gun control in this country. This is the first mass shooting since the Parkland High School incident in Florida, which happened on February the 14th. Multiple fatalities in that mass shooting, a shooting that rocked America because it really did propel students and high school students and young people across America to throw up their arms in disgust and say enough is enough. That led directly to a big march in Washington in March on the White House and on Capitol Hill, with young people calling for change. So this is yet another mass shooting, I think, which really puts under scrutiny the measures or attempts by the Trump administration to address the problem.
Right. For the moment, the president saying, and I'm quoting, mass shootings have been going on too long in our country, but offering very little in terms of solutions there. The local authorities saying that the area has been quote-unquote contained, and one police officer has also sustained injuries, Nina.
That's right. We're told that one officer is being treated in hospital. We still don't know how many other casualties there have been in this high school shooting. The shooting occurred at the Santa Fe High School, which is just outside Houston on the road to the port city of Galveston. And I think with President Trump's sort of early intervention in terms of making a statement, I think he's trying to show American high school students that he's obviously shaken and cares about these shootings. But the last time he intervened, if you remember, after the Parkland High School shooting, his statements were relatively controversial because he suggested that teachers themselves should be carrying guns in schools to try and fend off any possible attacks. And some of those, I think, thoughts or ideas that the President Trump offered to the debate were highly controversial, with teachers in many parts of the country rejecting the proposal that they carry weapons in schools. Highly charged debate in America. I think very little optimism that anything will change anytime soon. What was different about Parkland, and perhaps will be different about this mass shooting, is that I think young people were far more vocal after that incident on February the 14th in Florida about wanting and demanding change.
Stay with us, Nina. We want to play out an eyewitness account before we take this forward. 8 to 10 casualties feared, and this is one student who witnessed what happened in that Texas school.
Nobody thought it would be this. Nobody thought it was a shooting. Everybody just thought it was a, normal procedure, practice, fire drill. And next thing you know, we just hear 3 gunshots, loud explosions, and all the teachers are telling us to run, run, go, like run. Me and my friend Ryan Calvert ran to the forest so we could get shelter. And that's when I called my mom. Because I thought I was going to have I was having an asthma attack.
We heard from a student. She was understandably shaken, and school is supposed to be a safe environment. So while the debate on gun control rages on a political level, I'm sorry, we've seen a lot of instances of late in the US. What kind of help is available for these students who see something like this, their own colleagues, their own classmates picking up the gun, their friends being shot to death? What sort of coping mechanisms are available?
Well, I mean, it has thrown open, I think certainly Parkland did that, for the need for post-traumatic stress syndrome counselling and treatment. After Parkland, a number of volunteer organisations sent things like, dogs in to help with therapy, to help students sort of cope with the emotional and devastating impact of seeing their friends shot dead in front of them. You mentioned the number of school shootings in the US. It's while saying that this is the first mass shooting after Parkland, it's actually the 22nd shooting incident in a US high school since the beginning of the year. So it's important, I think, in the debate not to forget the fact that, of course, these mass shootings are the ones that attract the media's attention, but shootings happen on a far more daily basis than one would imagine in the US. Whether or not it's gang violence sort of outside the school grounds, or children who are caught in crossfire. I think it's worth remembering that especially when it comes to guns and gun ownership in this country, America is an unusually violent country. And I think the rehabilitation process that's involved for victims of gun violence is, of course, becoming more sophisticated. But the number of people that are, being shot or involved in accidents means that the health system and the healthcare system and mental health professionals are inundated very often with the demand to help treat those who've been impacted.